Happy Human Design New Year! Yes, the sun has rolled into gate 41, activating the genetic trait of contraction, decrease, which is correlated to the start codon in our genetics and marks the start of a new solar new year. The pressures of this cycle may have you daydreaming, fantasizing about what you want to experience in life, and could have you taking on a role to lead and guide others. The waves of heightened emotionality continue to crash down under the weight of expectations. All part of the human design cosmic energetic weather for January 21st to 27, 2025. Hello, hello. I'm Margot Fraser, your guide through the cosmic weather. As a certified human design professional and intuitive coach, I've been on a lifelong journey of self discovery. I'm on a mission to help you know, live, and love the magic of your true nature. I've learned to distinguish between what's truly me and what's conditioning pressure from other people and from the cosmic energetic weather. I can recognize what's an opportunity and what's really a distraction. I want you to be able to do the same. In this podcast, Human Design Whether or Not, we'll explore the conditioning influences of the planetary motions. You'll likely notice their effects playing out around you. Use this advice about the transit field to increase your awareness and learn from it rather than being taken off track and off purpose. I want to help you navigate this cycle and stay true to your authentic nature. Let's get started. This cycle begins at 12:11 p.m. January 21st and goes until 12:45 a.m. January 27th Mountain Standard Time. That's 7:11 p.m. UTC Universal Time Coordinates on January 21st until 7:45 a.m. January 27th. So you'll need to convert that to your own time zone to know when it starts and ends for you. As we go through these, you may want to have your own chart handy. If you see that you have a gate, a genetic trait that I'm talking about in your own chart, I'm talking about something that's part of you. If you don't see that trait, it's not part of your design. So, whether or not to act on it is going to be according to your own strategy and authority. Just because the pressure is there doesn't mean that you have to do anything about it. You are likely to see the pressures play out in the world around you as most people are operating from their not self. We always start with the sun earth activations as that 70% of the conditioning field. We have the sun moving into gate 41, activating the trait of contraction and decrease in the root center at the bottom of the chart. The root center is a motor and a pressure center, bringing that adrenalized drive. Gate 41 is part of the collective, abstract, experiential way that's generally about going through cycles of experiences one at a time, really going into it and being in it until it comes to its conclusion, beginnings, middles, ends. Reflecting then, learning, gaining the wisdom, and sharing that wisdom so that others don't have to start from scratch, then never repeating that same experience again. The pressure this trait of contraction brings is to enter into a new cycle of experience. And the first step of doing that is daydreaming and fantasizing. So, this is what you may find yourself doing this cycle. It's really innocent fantasy at this point. This is a gate that says, I'm hungry, hungry to feel something new. It can be recognition of literal hunger as well. The keynote for this trait, this gate says the limitation of resources which maximizes the development of potential. All the potentials of human experiences for all the feelings we can have are encapsulated in this trait. But you can imagine how overwhelming it would be to have all the fantasies possible running around in your mind at the same time. You can't actually maximize that one potential that's most of value to you if you're trying to manifest all your dreams at once. Trying to do that can lead to emotional health issues. So, the gate of contraction and decrease is about paring back to the one you want to put your energy into, the one to focus on. How do we know the one to focus on? Well, it's a process. Gate 41 is pointed up to gate 30, the gate of desire in the solar plexus center, the emotional center. So there'll be a pressure to fulfill on your desires. The emotional center is both a motor and an awareness center. So, this is where the realizing of the real desire will come in, getting that clarity on what feeling, what experience you're really yearning for. But if you don't have gate 30 in your design, there's not going to be that clarity right away about what that true desire is. So, patience, anything to do with the emotional center requires patience. Watch that you're not just jumping in to making one of those dreams happen from the mind. I got to do it now. Feeling is an experience in the body. And again, if you don't have gate 30 in your chart, it will eventually come through another person or the transit field, the cosmic weather. Having said that, it can be a great time to use this energy if it's correct for you, according to your own design strategy and authority, to allow for the dreaming, engage your imagination. What experience, what feeling would you like to manifest this year? It could be really exciting. Just be patient, and the contraction process will lead to the desire that's both grounded and of value. So there's a discernment that will occur in that clarity between what's real, what can really be manifested, and what is fantasy. Enjoy it, but leave it alone. So, like the birthing process, remember that what follows contraction is expansion. Okay, by the way, this fantasizing can also include sexual fantasies. 841's part of our design in intimacy. So there might be the urge to try something new. Just take the time again to make sure that it's really aligned for you. The experiential circuitry tends to bring expectations, and that can lead to disappointment around unfulfilled desires. So you may experience that or see that playing out around you as well. Now, gate 41 is being grounded in the Earth's position, gate 31 in the throat center, the trait of leading and influence. The throat center is the uppermost square in the chart. It's the center for communication, for expression and manifestation. Gate 31 is part of the logic circuitry that wants to establish the patterns, the formula to carry us into the future with security. If you do this, you can expect this result, right? We love that security that's in that reliability. You may hear yourself or others talking about the way to a better future, to greater security, and trying to influence others to engage and support this. You may feel the pressure to lead or guide others. So make sure it's correct for you before committing. It's important to be invited to lead or guide and that it's supported. The combination of these two activations brings sharing of fantasies and dreams for the future, sharing guidance. What you dream now may eventually be realized in a way that allows you to guide others. At the same time, you may hear others or find yourself creating expectations in the guidance that's trying to influence others from what's not realistic or from the ego trying to get attention. In the 4 cycles leading up to this Human Design New Year, I've been providing contemplations to reflect on the past year. If you want to do that, it's still not too late. You can grab these from my website at margotgfraser.com/human design. From the reflection of the past year comes the dreaming for the new year. Next up, let's look at our long-term channel. This is a channel that's been with us since December 2nd and will continue until January 27th at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 9:30 p.m. UTC. While the Sun Earth activations may not impact you directly, depending on your own chart, the channels impact everyone. Either you have it in your own design or you're getting it through the cosmic weather. This is the channel of transitoriness, the design of a jack of all trades. This is in the same stream of abstract experiential circuitry as that gate of contraction, the sun's position. The rule of thumb is to never repeat an experience, but to move from one experience to another, hence the transitoriness. We have the emotional center connecting to the throat center. And the emotional center is both a motor, the motor that produces the emotional wave, right? We all know emotions go up and down, from joy to pain, hope to sorrow. And it's an awareness center, our emotional awareness. This is really bringing heightened emotionality to the world. 50% of you have the emotional center defined in your chart. That triangle on the lower right will be colored in brown. And for 50% of you, it's undefined. It will be white in your chart. What's white in your chart is where you take in and amplify the energies of those who have it defined that come into your aura or from the transit field. And in the emotional center, it's about 200% amplification. So if your emotional center is undefined, you could really be feeling emotional during this period. There's going to be amplified emotionality in the world as a result. So please, please watch that you're not making emotional decisions. Do your best to do a good emotional releasing process at the end of each day. Whew, okay, we have gate 36, the trait of crisis in the emotional center, meeting its electromagnetic gate 35, the gate of progress and change in the throat center. The crisis here is not having the experience yet, being a novice. While gate 41 is the fantasizing about what experience to have, what feeling, gate 30 is the recognizing the real desire, the yearning. And then we move up to this gate 36, moving up to gate 35 in the throat. So in gate 35 here, we have the pressure to do it, to actually manifest the experience. It can bring a fear of inadequacy, a nervousness that you won't make it through. Ultimately, experiences support the evolution of humanity. They bring progress and change that can be shared. So we don't have to start from scratch each time. However, you need to be in the experience for whatever it brings without expectations. That's very difficult to do. And so you're likely to notice disappointment and unmet expectations around you. And perhaps you're feeling this yourself. The voice of gate 35 in the throat center is typically, I feel like a change, or I'm bored. There's no real enticing new experience that's on the horizon. A real note of caution here is just because the pressure to jump into a new experience is here doesn't mean that it's correct for you to enter into it. Please use your strategy and authority. If it is correct for you, these frequencies are really going to help you move through that experience and bring confidence that you can. We have one very short term channel being created by the moon. Now, the moon only stays in a gate activating the trait for about 10 to 11 hours, give or take. So we just really get a taste of this channel theme. So I'll just briefly review it. On January 22nd at 11:26 p.m. until January 23rd at 10:38 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is January 23rd at 6:11 a.m. to 5:38 p.m. UTC, we have the moon moving into gate 43, the trait of individual insights in the Ajna Center. This is the second triangle from the top. It's the seat of the mind and our mental awareness center. It's connecting with its electromagnetic gate 23, the trait of assimilation in the throat center, being activated by Uranus. This is creating the channel of structuring a design of individuality. As part of the individual circuitry, it operates in a pulse of knowing. We affectionately call this channel genius to freak. This is where individual insights are structured into a way that can be clearly explained to others. Individual circuitry is about pulses of knowing that can bring mutation, something new. It's not about making sense of experiences like the abstract mind or trying to come up with theories and formula to carry us into the future like the logical mind. It's a knowing in the now that comes through in that pulse. So, in order for the insights to be taken up by the collective, right? They have to be assimilated into the collective. That's only going to happen if they can be clearly explained. These insights can really seem like genius if you're invited to share them. And there's been that time to clearly structure those insights so they can be explained. However, if you just blurt out uninvited and can't clearly explain, it's just going to seem weird. It's going to be heard by the wrong people at the wrong time. Lastly, we have our long-term transit. So let's take a look at that. These are the activations being created by the nodes of the moon, which are the eclipse points, and the outer planets, and are with us for enough time that we might start to think they're part of us if we don't have them in our own body graph. So remember that you have your own activations for each planet in your own charts for your traits, who you are. Well, let's start with the nodes. They represent our environment, direction, and perspective. The south node is activating gate 46, the gate of determination of the self and love of the body. It's another part of the abstract experiential circuitry. And the north node is activating gate 25, the gate of the spirit of the self, of innocence, of universal love, part of that mutative individual circuitry. So both of these are in the G center, the diamond at the center of the chart. And it's about love, identity, and direction in life. There are 6 fundamental expressions of each trait, and gate 46 is in line 1. That brings its frequency to our environment. This is the potential for creative success through dedication to your body vessel. and being in the experience for the experience. If you let go of expectations, you'll start to recognize that when you're in your body and love it as your home, you're always in the right place at the right time. If you're not dedicated to your body and hate being in it, you may find you're also in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, with this pressure, you may get focused on the outcome of other successes that you've witnessed and be trying to benefit from it, taking you out of your own experience. You might feel the pressure to do more to keep your body healthy, or not. You might really get down on your body. Gate 25 is in line 1. So this brings a frequency where you might really see who's operating from selflessness or who has a tendency to publicize one's selflessness, which means it's no longer motivelessness or motiveless, which is what this trait is really bringing through, that motivelessness. Line 1 is always looking for security. So that publicizing is like, okay, did you see that? Hey, looking for that, that security, that recognition. Gate 25 is pointed towards the gate of shock in the heart center. Heart center is also called the ego center, the willpower center in human design. So you may really see the shocks and the challenges that are coming in personally and collectively. We have Jupiter and Neptune creating that channel of transitoriness that we talked about already. Jupiter in the throat center, the gate of progress and change, is in line 1 called humility. It's the ability to accept rejection and change as part of the experiential process, right? Rejection comes in, okay, that experience probably wasn't for me. However, it's in its detriment. So you'll see the little down arrow beside it, which says a self destructive reaction to rejection, loss of worth, change, and rejection as humiliation. Now, Jupiter is about our inner laws, and it also brings expansion. So while it's bringing a pressure to have experiential progress as our inner law, there may also be an expansion of the inability to handle rejection in our collective and very bad reactions to it rather than just accepting it as part of the experiential process. This is, energy emotional center coming up to the throat. So there can be a lot of anger and frustration that comes through it, especially anger. Rejection can simply mean that it wasn't for you. Now, Neptune brings illusion, veiling, and unveiling, going into the depths. The crisis of inexperiences here in this gate 36 and that solar plexus, emotional center, and it's in line 6 called justice, inevitable survival of right. It can bring a faith within you that you will get the experience to overcome being a novice by staying with your correctness, following your strategy and authority. And profound lessons may be unveiled through that experience. Or its detriment is feeling sorrow and cynicism because you know that even if you gain an experience, there's still going to be something that you're a novice in, right? There's going to be that next thing, and you're never going to unveil all the lessons of experience. The illusions of having expectations may be unveiled here as well. The illusion that it's the illusion that it's time for something new based on this emotionality instead of your true authority. The unveiling of illusions in the collective is a potential here too. Together with this Jupiter-Neptune combination, there could be the humiliation from rejection that leads back to crisis. Saturn. Now, Saturn brings discipline, constraints, consequences. It's sitting in gate 63 in the head center. The head center is a pressure center that brings us the pressure to think and question. Gate 63 activates the trait of doubt. That's part of the mental logical process. Doubting the current theories, doubting the current ways of doing things, the formula that are out there. No, I don't think that's working. It's moved into line 6 called nostalgia. So in the exaltation, it says the good sense to avoid turning the previous struggle into an obsession, the logic of leaving old doubts behind. Or its detriment is revolutionary nostalgia, the logic and the potential obsession with old suspicions and doubt. So it's going to bring a tendency to get caught up in the answers of the past, things that worked in the past, and holding on to them. Wow, those people in that time really had it figured out. Those Egyptians, those Phoenicians, those Atlanteans, those, whatever it might be. Well, maybe, maybe not. We do need people that look back, but this is logic. So there also has to be the testing, the experimenting to see if it's actually of value now, is based in fact, and can lead us into the future. So ultimately, with Saturn here, if you're not disciplined in investigating your doubts, the questions that come in, getting the facts, Saturn may bring consequences. You might not like those consequences. All right, Uranus. Uranus, with its unusualness and potential distraction, is activating gate 23, that trait of assimilation in the throat center. It's in the 5th line, and 5th lines always receive projections. In this case, the projection that the individual is ready to be assimilated and to assimilate. So this is a trait that can bring through something mutative, a spark of something new. But unless that insight is assimilated into the collective, it's never going to have, it's never going to, let's say, realize its true mutative potential at that collective level. So the individual, in a way, needs to be assimilated into the collective and then bring through that mutative spark with that clear explanation so that it can be assimilated or not. We never know. With Uranus, this assimilation may happen in a very unusual way, or you could be completely sidetracked and distracted from sharing your individual insights, but aligning with the collective out of fear of rejection. They're going to think I'm too weird, too freaky, right? This could also bring unusual insights to the collective that are taken as fact, but are complete distractions. This is not the logic circuitry. So the insights would have to be taken up by the collective and then put through the experimental process to see if, is there really something to back it up here? Pluto is about our inner truth. It also rules our larger cycles. It's sitting in gate 60 in the root center, activating the trait of limitation and acceptance. This is another individual trait, so it operates in that pulse of knowing. It's sitting in line 6, which is called rigidity. So the ability to accept limitations that you come up against and not try to push through them until you see that the mutation, the real change can happen. That's what this brings. Or in its detriment, you might feel a real agitation, even feeling a bit depressed at being limited. These limitations that you bump up against. There's a sense with this trait activation that you have to be restrained and not try to push through the limitation, but you don't like it. All right. Well, you'll only find your truth. This is what it says. The pressure is you'll only find your truth when you break through limitation. This is how the Not Self Collective is going to be receiving this. So we may see in the world around us this trying to force change. And that can really bring a lot of chaos. Its higher expression is we'll find truth when we accept limitation and wait for the correct pulse of mutation to come through. Now, remember, you have your own Pluto position in your design. And for most of you, it's not gate 60, right? It might not be correct for you, according to your strategy and authority, to be putting any energy at all into accepting or not accepting limitations. All right. Special note here that because we're at the Human Design New Year, these activations are setting the tone for this next year. It's kind of the foundation. So overall, lots of pressure for change, right? We're seeing it both through the abstract circuitry and the individual circuitry, breaking through limitation. You need to break through limitation. That channel of transitoriness with its, I feel like it's time for a change. We need a change now. Very emotional. Do we make good decisions when we're emotional? No. All right. So, yeah, there's the caution. And look at the throat gate activations. We've got quite a few there. Everyone's going to have access to that because that channel of transitoriness is activating the throat. Anyone who normally doesn't usually have it defined or activated, and that's all over the world. And from this pressure with most people operating from their not self, they're not living their own design. They're living this transit field. So lots of blurting out of that pressure, not waiting to be invited to speak, blurting out about change. We need change, blurting out what one knows or doesn't know with often very poor explanations, blurting out what they see the way forward is. Lots of trying to get attention. There could be weird stories and insights that could be taken as fact, but when you really delve into it, have absolutely no factual basis. The potential for lots of bruised egos out there. I'm also going to briefly bring Mars in here. Usually, Mars is in a gate for about 7 days, but with its retrograde orbit going on right now, it's been sitting in gate 62 in the throat center for the full second half of January. This is the trait of details. Give me the facts. But Mars is immature. Mars is hasty. So it's more likely we're going to hear a lot of things presented with all these details under the guise that they're facts, and they may not be. They may be very ego motivated expressions rather than that motivelessness that we talked about in that gate 25. But for you personally, when it's correct for you, according to your strategy and authority, you can learn from these activations if they aren't in your own design. You might learn to dream big and really get into the imagination and the creativity that can be there. Get insights on the path forward, to let go of unsubstantiated doubts, to come into greater love of your body and universal love, to break down intolerances through what you know, perhaps to guide others that are looking for your support from what you found works and have learned through your experiences. And learn that you can be patient and stay centered within yourself, no matter what the external pressures and limitations are around you. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and just want to understand the basics of the chart, what's the red and the black about? What are the geometric shapes? A bit about the background of the human design system. You're welcome to grab my free Human Design Basics mini course. It's at margotgfraser.com/human-design. You'll also find various readings there if you're looking to understand your design or go deeper into it that you can do with me. On a personal note, I've been doing these weather reports for a couple of years, more privately with my email list. This is episode one, moving it over to a podcast platform. So if you've enjoyed it, it would be awesome if you could give a thumbs up, a like for this episode, and subscribe to this podcast. Okay, so be patient, enjoy the dreaming without expectation, and watch that you're not making emotional decisions. Even those of us that have the emotional center defined need to wait until we're in neutral to get clarity. So, have a great cycle and may you know, love, and live your magical nature. Until next time, bye for now.